It's Monday, and it's time for another Goku Runner Talks podcast. On this episode, we have Ben Lindsay. He has developed a product along with his team as Solushin to treat shin splints. And if you're a runner, you'll definitely want to listen to this episode. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Goku Runner Talks podcast. On this episode, we're going to talk to Ben Lindsay. He has a product that a lot of runners would love to have for many years. I know I would have loved to have it, especially when I started running. And it's about shin splints, right? How are you doing today?
Good, Jeremy. Thanks for having me on. Also, great background. Look at all those medals.
Yeah, I have to show it off to somebody.
I know. Well, you got there without the product, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, I saw Ben over at the running event over in Austin. And how was that event for you? Was it a good event? Did you meet a lot of different stores and everything?
Yeah, it was actually so. Obviously, I'm based in Australia, so I flew over to work with our new distributor over in the States. So we only partnered with them maybe 4 weeks before that event. We got in last minute. I flew over, wanted to help out, meet the team, met loads of Fleet Feet store
Yeah,
operators,
yeah.
which was cool. But actually, the biggest takeaways I got were it was actually all the other Australian companies that were over there in the
That's
US,
right.
and then we all shared all the introductions we got and everything like that. So it was a good kind of band of brothers and sisters, kind of helping everyone out from hydration to like technology all the way through to our product as well.
The flip flop guys, I know they're from
Oh
Australia,
yeah,
right?
Archie's. Yeah,
I
yeah,
I see them every year because I go. If you guys don't know what the running event is, it is the biggest running industry event where basically all the stores are there to try to find more products. So it was the perfect place for Ben to be to show off solutions, right? So
yeah. Solution. No need to overthink it. It's just a pun. Yep,
solution, yeah, I like it. So it's the solo, almost like the soleus, right? And then the shin and everything else. So can you
yep,
tell us about like how did you come up with the product? Or first tell us what it is so people know,
yep.
and then we'll talk about how you developed it.
No, can do, Jeremy. So effectively, the product is like a brace slash compression sleeve. It's like at the perfect intersection of the two. You wear it before or after training, ideally after as part of your recovery. And what it does is it actually reduces tension in your calf muscle, so specifically the soleus muscle. So it feels real good. And then it
Mm.
also targets the pain and inflammation associated with shin splints, so on that inside border of your shin bone. So that's pretty much the summary of how it works. You know, I come from an athletic background turned biomedical engineer, but I'm actually not the brains behind the original mechanism of how this product works. We've got a doctor on the team, Dr. William McNamara. So he used to be a national finalist runner here in Australia,
Mm.
8 years in a row. Shin splints took him out for 8 to 12 weeks every season, and he just kept missing out on teams. So he swears that if he didn't have shin splints and had a better treatment option, he would have been, on the team here for Australia for the 400.
Yeah.
And then myself, I was a swimmer, but I had terrible shoulders, so I did a lot of kind of low volume activity. And I was at the Institutes of Sport over here, and it was really surprising that when you get shin splints, you kind of ignore it at first. It's a bit of a tickle,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden you wake up one day and it's a lot worse than it was the day before. And this is still before you get a stress fracture. And then when we were talking to our physiotherapists, sports and exercise physicians, this is both William and I, we were just blown away by how long treatment was going to take. So the device is purely to take you from 110 days, which is the average treatment time without it, to
Mm.
35 days, which is what we showed in our clinical research with a leading sports medicine clinic here in Sydney.
Yeah, so I think the traditional treatments of shin splints are probably like rest, rest,
Yep.
elevate, ice, elevation, all that. Or some people use. I think a lot of runners they use compression socks, right, or compression sleeves.
Yeah,
That's what I
yeah.
use, and they're pretty
So they're
expensive. Like I remember the first time I bought some compression sleeves. I bought a pair. Well, I thought I bought a pair, and it was $50. And to my surprise, it only came with one sleeve. I was like, "What the heck? I just bought one sleeve for $50." So I was
yeah.
shocked by that. But and I don't think it actually even did too much for me. For me, my shin splints were, and I know there's a lot of different definitions of a shin splints, right? I feel like
Yes,
that's more of
plenty.
a over encompassing definition of a bunch of things that are going wrong with the lower leg, right?
Yeah, so shin splints, it's very tedious to navigate this, right? So a lot of people, they have some form of pain between their knee and between their foot, and they go,
Hmm.
I've got shin splints,
Yeah.
right? So I can't remember the year, but there was a study done where shin splints was first termed, and it was to do with the myofascial traction, it's called. So the soleus, the calf muscle, it's not your big attractive calf muscle that you show off at Mr. Universe when you tense up. It's the big flat triangular one that absorbs
uh,
a lot of your body weight when you're jogging. They showed that the attachment of the soleus, that calf muscle, to the shin bone, that was kind of causing this traction where it would pull off the bone, and your kind of fibers, where it attaches to the bone, were pulling off, getting inflamed and sore. Then over time, so that was the original definition of shin splints. But then
mhm,
over time, it just became this all encompassing umbrella term. So when we're talking about shin splints, for your listeners, they might have gone to the physical therapist, they might have gone to the athletic trainer or doctor, they might have heard medial tibial stress syndrome or
mhm.
MTSS. So that's what we're really looking at, which is it's on
Okay.
the inside border of your shin. You're looking at the bottom half of your shin as well. On the inside border is where you get that pain, and then the pain's non-focal, which means it's not like a little point on your shin when you're jogging, or even after training. It's about 5 centimeters to 3 inches long minimum pain. So that's actually the most common form of an injury under shin splints,
Okay.
which is what we're going after. But the amazing thing about the product, which we didn't anticipate, was the way we treat that injury is also how a lot of the other injuries, get support in their treatment as well. So, you know, because we reduce tension in the soleus, we increase your ankle range of motion. A lot of those other injuries, so on the other side of the shin bone, the tibialis anterior, it's the muscle that pulls your toes upwards, right?
Mhm.
So a lot of people get sore there. They call that shin splints. It's now called anterior shin
Yeah.
splints, right? We actually didn't anticipate this, but we had some pro athletes have that injury. They just put the device on, and because the soleus was addressed, effectively it was like a losing battle for that other muscle that, pulling up the foot against a tight soleus, which was pulling it the other way. That's our hypothesis. They got really good results as well. But compression sleeves, I used to love them, used to run in them, and I think, the fact that they're pushing on the sore side while you're jogging and they stop that vibration, I think there is some credit to it there,
Mhm.
that it helps you, block out the pain. But the reality is, in all the clinical research, in big military studies, big athletic group studies, if you want to run without the compression sleeves, they don't outperform placebo in getting you back to running pain free faster. So, actually, because of that, in our clinical trial, the compression sleeves or a compression sleeve was used as a placebo or control. So, everyone in the study got two devices. It was either the Solushin or it was a compression garment. And we saw, no speed up in recovery with the compression garment, whereas everyone with our device, it was 35 days.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of it is going to be like a placebo effect, right? Especially if
Yeah,
you're spending the money, you're spending $50, like
yeah,
this is gonna work for you, and
yeah,
sometimes it doesn't work. And I think that the one you're talking about, the anterior one, was the one that I was having initially, because I think that one's more due to form rather than uh, actual overuse injury, because I felt like I was like tiptoeing too much and overstriding,
yeah.
and that was causing me to build up pressure in my shin, my anterior. I thought it was anterior compartment syndrome, actually. So that's what I
It's good you
I,
ruled
I
that out
attended
then.
to. Yeah,
Yeah,
and then once I switched my form up, it got better. But like you said, MTSS is the one that you're generally
yes,
treating for
yeah,
what this is. So let's take a look at the product, which is the one that I have right here, and this is it. So this is the product, if you guys see, and if there are some different nodes. So there's three nodes like this, if you guys can see right there,
yeah.
different nodes on there. And what is the what was the point of the nodes?
Okay, so first off, I always need to disclose that when we designed this, we had no idea if it was going to work. So it's
Mhm.
definitely a quirky looking thing when you see those nodes, and the first time people use them, they go, surely this isn't going to really work. But that's how we felt too. And then we gave it to
Mhm.
some doctors and they studied it, and it worked really well. So the nodes, they're what we call our counter traction technology. So they're pretty much the density of a thumb. And what they do is they go to the corner or insertion of your calf muscle, your soleus muscle. Now, Will's hypothesis, so the doctor on the team, was
Mhm.
if we target the insertion of the soleus muscle, it's kind of like pulling out the hitch in the corner of a tent, right? Where when you look at a tent, the corner's always high tension, but if you reduce the tension in one corner, the whole tent when you're camping falls down. So
Mhm.
this is a common theory in physical therapy, which is the myofascial pain disorder theory, it's called. But we were targeting those corners, and we thought, hey, if we just apply focal pressure there, maybe we'll reduce tension in the whole muscle belly. And so those are the top three straps. You'll see that there's three nodes there that you need to place on the soleus. Now, what that does, we've done a study there. It's a 23% improvement in an hour of wear in your ankle range of motion is the average. So that kind of reflects that reduction in tension. And to be honest, people buy the product or initially bought the product just for shin splints. But those three kind of components on the top three straps make people's calves feel so good, and it's
Mhm.
such active recovery that they just keep using the products, or people are now just buying it for calf recovery. And then within the sleeve, which, that kind of black, dark gray sleeve there under the blue, there's a rod which kind of sits under the bottom two straps, and that compresses the pain and inflammation of shin splints. So that's a very simple approach. It's like,
Oh, I
hey,
see it.
let's compress the sore spot and see what happens. Now that whole device, as simple as it looks, that took people from the 110-day mean time for recovery down to 35 days. So we like to tell people, it's like seven park run, oh sorry, not seven, it's like 10 park runs that you can get into the season before, whereas without the device you would have missed out on 10 park runs pain free. So one fun run every Saturday, however you look at it. The Morning Joe's run club, which I joined in Austin, they could get 10 more runs in without pain just by
Mhm.
using the product.
So your product is meant to use while recovering, or while you're using it actively recovering from the injury. So
Yeah,
you're running without it, because this is not meant to run in. This is meant
no.
to use in between your runs, or an hour or two before or after your runs, right?
Yeah, no. So use it before or after. I personally believe after's better. For recovery, I like that feeling. But all our clinical studies show that before or after works. It's pretty much you just got to put it on. Like that's the
Yeah.
main thing. Wear it for 60 to 90 minutes. We call it the golden hour. Get it for 60 minutes. You can walk around in it. You can, I walk my dog in mine whenever I have a calf niggle. Or
Mhm.
I cook, do the dishes, chill out. You don't have to sit down and stop everything you're doing. That's why a lot of people like it for calf recovery. Um, yeah, but that's pretty much it. So where after, we spoke to maybe 500 runners when we were designing the product here in Australia, and we just learned that runners, if they could, would basically run in nothing but some running shoes and a hat. So they'd be bare, naked. They want to be
Yeah.
untouched with any
Yeah.
textiles. Just leave them alone, let them be free. So we knew we couldn't design a product to be worn while running.
Okay. So is the theory behind the nodes like kind of a pressure points kind of thing, or
Yeah,
just
definitely. Yeah,
uh,
so just applying focal pressure. So the sleeve that you see in that device shouldn't be tight. That's actually
mhm.
purely for leg hair
Yeah,
and
it's very
helping you
loose.
slide it on. Yeah,
Mhm.
it is very loose. We initially designed it without it. Then I was one of the testers who wore it, and I got pretty hairy calves, and it just irritated. So that's why the sleeve's there. And then now we use it to also house the rod. But
Okay.
those nodes, yeah, they apply very focal pressure, and that causes the counter traction, we call it, where the muscle inserts into the bone. And you know that kind of theory or that theory we approached with the doctors who studied the device and Will on the team, showed that we could reduce tension in the muscle belly and compress the inflammation, along the border where it hurts, where people have the pain. And you know what we're seeing is, and what we didn't anticipate even in the clinical study, was people got immediate pain relief when using it.
Mhm.
Right, that
Wow.
doesn't mean it didn't come back when they started jogging again. Like it's not
Mhm.
it's not an instant cure, right? We're not selling snake oil, like is the key thing here. But with consistent use, what people noticed was over time the pain subsided a lot faster than every other kind of treatment they'd explored. And then before long, they were running pain free without using the product. But again, we've got people who've been using the product now consistently for 3 years just because they're running 80 to 100 kilometers a week. I have no idea, sorry Jeremy, what that is in mileage, but it's far enough.
60 to 40 to 60, I think.
Yeah, cool. Perfect. And they just use it for that calf recovery on an ongoing basis, even without shin pain.
And then you were telling me when you were flying to the running event, you were watching what's that show called on
Sprint,
Netflix? Sprints,
sprint.
and you
Yeah,
did not pay anybody to wear this. And
yeah,
who did you see wearing this product?
yeah. So you would appreciate this, Jeremy. You're building, Goku Runner Talks, up from nothing as well. Like when you get some recognition, it's
All
just
right.
phenomenal, and when it's unexpected, it's even more phenomenal again. So I was ultra jet lagged. I'd just flown from Sydney to Austin, couldn't sleep. I was like, I'm going to watch Sprint on Netflix. I hadn't watched it yet, and then literally in the first 2 minutes of season two, like episode one, Kashane Thompson, right? So the 100-meter runner from Jamaica, got second in Paris. You know, the whole purpose, on the men's side of this show is the tension between Kashane Thompson and Noah
Mm.
Lyles. Like, he's just wearing the product, eating breakfast at his table. And I was like, hang on, what the hell? Took a screenshot, couldn't believe it, just blown away. So, we knew the Jamaican team themselves, so team MVP rather, under Vincent Francis and Adrian Laidlaw, we knew that they had sourced the product, which is a whole story upon itself. We didn't know they'd sourced the product until I saw a big order come through, and I was like, maybe this is a clinic. Called them up, and a Jamaican person picked up the phone, and then that ended up being Adrian. Their
Wow.
whole team was using them, and we basically told them, we're a small company just getting started. They really liked it. Didn't tell me they were going to chuck it on Netflix for us, but then, yep, there we go. It was on the first episode, and then on another one when Kashane, I think he was ordering like out ordering lunch, and he wore them out for us. So yeah, that was amazing.
Wow, yeah, that's like the best. I mean, that's the best advertisement you could ever have. Their Olympians
Yeah,
are using your product, and they're like
yeah,
gold medalists, silver medalists, and
yeah,
they're all using. It's the Jamaican team too. So Jamaicans
yeah.
known for running and speed, and they're that gives me chills to just. I'm sure it gives you more than chills
No,
to
yeah,
have them have it and wear
I was pretty yeah excited. And then if you go look into Kashane's history of shin splints, and stress fractures and all these things, like he's very consistently had them. A lot of sprinters do, and particularly
yeah,
big
yeah.
bulky sprinters like him. They really get them quite bad. So for us, for them to tell us, and that we were part of that journey for him to get to Paris was phenomenal. That's all we thought, and we were just over the moon with that, being athletes ourselves. But then for them to get us plugged on, a global show was just amazing. Like we couldn't be more grateful for them to do that.
So did that up your sales of it after you started posted it on your own
Yeah,
socials and everything?
yeah. So definitely did. So it helped out. I think the main thing with us is, and you might appreciate this too. Your conversation about the compression sleeves earlier. You know, all athletes we're all sold these things which don't work, right? Like we
Mhm.
buy them, we don't really get the effect that we were looking for, but we kind of get desperate at times with injuries. So the most
100%.
important thing for us, whenever we design this and any other product we design, so there's also Rosa on the team. She was a national gymnast here in Australia. All three of us felt that we'd bought products and wasted our money as amateur, then elite, then pro athletes. We didn't actually have that much money, but we would spend it all on treatment. So, and then nothing would happen. So for us, we've always got to have clinical pillars. So we've done the clinical trials with the solution, but then for everyone else, you know, seeing other people use it, really strong athletes use it, and they get results from it. We know that's what everyone needs. So the clinical studies showing everyone that it does work, and kind of navigating through all the BS that's out there is really our approach. So we got the uptick in sales, we saw the increase, and we really just credit it to the more people who use it and get results, you know, the more people are going to be able to navigate. All right, it's not like all those other kind of products on the market.
So is this meant to be like you said it's a cure, and also is it for preventative measures too? Like, should you be wearing this even after you don't have shin splints anymore? Is this something that you should use all the time?
So quick one on cure. So you're not allowed to say cure. So
Okay.
we're allowed to say it treats the injury. So it is what's called a class one medical device. So so we're allowed to make treatment claims, and that was kind of the core thing as well for us, Jeremy, that we wanted to be able to walk into the room and say, no, we don't just support your treatment. You know, so we don't just help out all the other treatment you're doing, which is what a lot of the other products we compete with can say. We can actually walk in the room and say this product treats your
Treats.
injury, which
Okay.
it's a very nuanced thing. In terms of
Mhm.
preventative measures, we're not as clear on that yet, right? So what we can say is that increase in ankle ROM, you know, that's one of the biggest risk factors associated with the injury. What we can also say is with the clinical study, when people were using the device, there was no recurrence of the injury, which means it didn't come back even for a long-term follow-up. But then we actually, again, we designed this product that people would use it, get better, and that was it, right? But it was based on the people who used it. They were telling us, "Oh, I'm going to keep using this because my calves just feel great." So
Yeah.
people do continue using it. I know some people take the rod out and they only use that if there's a shin pain flare up. So they just use those top three straps just for calf recovery.
Okay. So uh, I twisted my ankle
Yep.
on December 28th. Does it do anything for a broken tibia?
No, it won't do anything for a broken tibia. So you twisted it bad then?
I twisted it bad. Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah.
do 100 miler this weekend actually, and
Oh,
I can't do it because I'm walking around, but there's still some pain. I'm actually gonna go to the doctor after this
yep.
conversation and get another X-ray. So
So so when people actually shin splints or MTSS rather, so the kind of particular one particular injury under shin splints that we designed this for, it's a spectrum of injury, right? So it's a stress response, and the final kind of hurdle that you don't want to jump over, rather, I don't know if hurdle's the right word here, is getting a stress fracture. And actually, so we know with the product, if you've got a stress fracture, you know, you've got to let the stress fracture heal first before you start poking and prodding
right.
it. We know athletes, the way they approach this is they then take out the rod because then they're not going to poke the stress fracture. They're going to let that area heal, but they still use that kind of calf, the top three straps to reduce
Mhm.
tension in the soleus or the calf muscles, help them recover. With what you're doing, what I would be asking your doctor, and this is what we always say to everyone with this product, particularly when it comes to the ankle range of motion component and calf tension component, is hey, will reducing tension in my calves help me recover? If your doctor says, yep, focusing on that soft tissue work is going to
Okay.
help you recover and increasing your ankle range, making sure you don't get too stiff,
Yeah.
if they think that's a good idea, then you would take the rod out or, take any component out that would be touching where you broke it, right? Just let that bit heal and then just use the other components and see how you go, particularly if you've already got one.
Yeah, because I have a lot of issues. I have gout. I have a heel
Yep.
spur. So
Yep.
having a better range of motion for your ankles, really for anybody, is a plus for sure.
Yeah, and well, you're like me as well, Jeremy. Like, we're bigger guys who just try and run, which isn't always
Yeah,
yeah.
no, it's it's
So
like it's not supposed to be seen in nature, right?
no, no, and then I know, yeah, I know whenever I enter a fun run, I'm just surrounded by much smaller people. I think who weigh 2/3 of what I weigh, and I just go, all right, I'm putting more stress on my body than they are.
100%. I remember years ago, I was like, it's going to eventually catch up to me, and it's finally catching up to me. But
Yeah,
breaking my ankle does not help my case at all. It's just making it
gosh,
harder.
that's a bad ankle roll. Sorry to hear.
Yeah, yeah. I was walking down some steps, and there was a slippers. It wasn't the ones from Australia,
Oh, the
but
arches, yeah.
it wasn't the Archies. I stepped on them, and it was the worst ankle sprain I ever felt in my. I was in such pain for so long, but
Damn.
yeah.
Sorry to
So
hear.
you're now in. Did you make it into Fleet Feet, or I know last time when I was looking at a podcast, so I was doing some research on you,
Yep.
and you weren't in the United States yet, and now you are. Where can you be found?
Yeah. So now we're working with a distributor over there called OPED. So I actually I actually get the update from them soon. We had a lot of interest from Fleet Feet stores. So obviously with those big behemoths, not the
Yeah.
independent operators, there's a long timeline to get in. What we've actually seen in the US is predominantly online sales. So it's actually the same here in Australia. So most people buy the solution online because it's really about kind of taking control of your own treatment, right? So our biggest sell to the general population is, hey, if you do this and then you do a load management plan, you will reduce the amount of times you go to the clinic, which is why people, the stores like Fleet Feet would benefit from it. Their customers come in, get a new pair of shoes. So your point on running form, changing your running form, bad form is a risk for this injury. That's why people get good results as well when they use orthotics to kind of change the dispersion of force in their tibia. There's all these different things that a store operator can pursue, but our biggest sales are online, where
Hmm.
people just buy the product. They see a clinician a couple of times, potentially learn to reduce their load and increase it back up again. But what we also do is we provide example load management plans with our product. So when you buy it, you can see what a load management plan needs to look like, what kind of pain you should and should not tolerate, so your injury doesn't get worse. Because we're really trying to, and this is where we're really going with it, Jeremy, is what can we provide everyone when they buy the product that prevents the need for them to go to clinic and spend, in Australia, spend a couple of $1,000s to get over this injury and turn it into, maybe a couple of $100s.
Yeah.
Because that's also the biggest hurdle for a lot of amateur runners is they just can't afford the few $1,000s to treat it, whereas they would be able to afford the few $100s to treat it and treat it quicker.
Yeah, it's not. I feel like your price point is your price point is what 120, 130.
No, it's in the
What is it?
US. It's 149. So
149. So
yep,
like I said, calf sleeves are $50 or 60
yeah,
bucks. So it's much more, and they don't have the science behind it that you guys
no,
have.
exactly.
You guys have some you've done some testing on it, and you've shown
And,
that it's reduced a lot of the what's it called, the time to
yeah,
recover.
yeah, and you've got one on you as well. Like that, we had an option where we could try and make you know cheaper ones that fall apart.
Hmm.
But for us again, like we wanted to make high quality products that last. And here in Australia, we've been active for quite a few years, and people haven't had to repurchase, and they still use the products. They're high enough quality that you can use them for the long term. Every now and then people order new components from us to put in. They're relatively cheap. So for us, it was important to make a high quality product that does what it says and doesn't fall apart. So you'll also see with the product when you buy it, the pictures probably don't do it justice in comparison to the other products on the market, that it is, made with pretty high quality materials and the like.
So how are your reviews doing on? You guys are on Amazon. You guys are on a lot of other things. What are the reviews saying on your product? Are they pretty
So
good?
yeah. So here in Australia, we've treated quite a few thousand people now. So it was definitely, I'm going to be transparent, a slow start because everyone was like, another one of these things, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
it took a real long time for us to get moving and build trust within the community. But of the few, of the thousands of people who've used it, less than, or if I'm going to give you the exact number, about 2.6% of people send it back, right? So we're happy to do the 30-day return kind of guarantee, right? So if you're not happy with it, just send it back, right? And you get a refund, right? So, and the reason we do that is because, two things. One, people might not actually have the right injury, right? So they get
Hmm.
the device, they look at how to use it in the instructions. We say put the rod on where it's sore, and then all of a sudden you go, hang on, I'm not sore there. Then you might not have the injury. So you can send it back. Or if you think the ankle range of motion piece is there, you've got 30 days. Go talk to a clinician. And if they say, yes, improving your ankle range of motion, reducing tension in the calves, that will help, then you can keep giving the product a go. But then the other thing, Jeremy, is the people who don't like the product are the people who put it on once and they're not cured.
Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna
And
say,
that's yeah, it's
I
the
was gonna say
biggest
that
challenge for us.
that's probably the biggest review. Like they're like, oh, it didn't work for me, and they didn't give it time. They're
Yes.
not
So
giving the right amount of time.
yeah, but no, but to be frank, like again, like you would understand this building up Goku Runner. You get nervous as the person who's one of the inventors. You're like, does it really work? You've got all these clinical studies out there that tell you it works, and it took me a few years to really kind of go, it definitely works, right? Because I was very nervous. Like, am I capable of even building a product that
Yeah,
works as good as this study says? And then now we've had the thousands of people use it. They're very happy using it. We've got more and more pro teams and pro athletes here in Australia using it. And it's not just the athletes saying it's good, it's their physiotherapists or physical therapists, as you call them over there, their doctors, all very, very happy. And we've just been loading up on reviews. We don't tend to get people unhappy unless it's they used it once or twice and, you know, it didn't work kind
yeah.
of piece.
And they can't really be mad either because it's a 30-day guarantee. So
Yeah,
if,
just
if
send
they're
it
not
back.
happy, just send it back.
Yep.
That's all it is. So that's cool. Is there any other product lines that you're coming out? I know you had some shoulder issues. Are you making a deltoid whatever
No, I wish.
solution?
No, so well, on the shoulder side, that ended up just being overuse and inflammation, and then my labrums just tore. So my shoulders just are nice, and they're very old man shoulders now, even though I'm only 31. Um, but we're really focused on kind of lower limb injuries at the moment. So we're
Hmm.
exploring. My actual thesis at university was on plantar fasciitis. So
Hmm.
the
Oh
top
yeah,
three straps of the solution actually play a role in treating plantar fasciitis, so that it's a sling between your soleus, your calf muscle, and the plantar fascia under your foot. So there is a role that it has to play. And, you know, we don't have any proper research yet, but anecdotally, from talking to clinicians, they've used the device in patients with chronic plantar fasciitis where the calf tightness has been an issue and gotten really good results. But that's only one component. We're actually developing, another component for the actual plantar fascia to offload it. But this
yeah,
device is completely different to the current one. It's one that you can walk around in, and we actually hope that you can run in. So you're offloading the plantar fascia and that inflammation and pain. So that's where we're kind of going next. And we have a bunch of other products in the pipeline. But if you look at the scope of injuries out there, there's loads of injuries that are treated quite well. For us, MTSS, medial tibial stress syndrome, was treated not very well at all. There was very little innovation in the space other than rice, that kind of, and then
yeah,
also the load management plan and strength and conditioning plans, which do work. They just take a long time, and that immediate pain relief can be tedious. So what we're also exploring is the solution itself. What other injuries can it target as well and support the treatment of? So MTSS, huge opportunity, but then this calf range of motion piece,
yeah,
Achilles tendinopathy, plantar fasciitis. What other injuries out there are implicated with that, and can we show before we say to runners that it does help? You know, because we don't want to, again, our biggest kind of values and principles here is we don't want to go out and sell snake oil, and we don't want to go out there and say it cures headaches and does all these things. We want to say, hey, here's the evidence, it does that, we're confident and we back it to do it, and we would have used it, so you should give it a go too.
yeah. That's a good thing. I mean, I've tested lots of products that it's like, I mean, if it feels good, I'll use it. But does it really work? You never know. I mean, like
Yeah.
there's sauna. I mean, sauna. I guess there has some. I'm doing cold plunge right now.
Oh yeah, i
Doing
love i
all,
love
all
sauna and cold plunge.
all the what's it called, massage guns.
Oh yeah.
Who knows if those things work? But if they feel good, you're happy. But
Yep.
as long as y'all have the science behind it, I feel like
Yep.
that's a good way to go about it. So
Yep.
yeah, I appreciate you being on the podcast. I do have one more thing because I do ask
Yep.
all my all my guests. It's called this or that. So you just pick one or two or one or the other, right?
Yep.
So this is this is going to be one I always start off with, and it's probably after a big like run or after a big swim session. What do you go for? Is it going to be a pizza or a hamburger?
Burger.
Burger. All right.
Yeah.
They got some good burgers down under, huh?
I, in Austin, I had some pretty good burgers when I
Oh, really?
visited, but we do have good burgers down here. But it's actually not just the burgers. I'm always getting chips on the side.
Did you get some barbecue down there while you're in
Oh
Austin?
yeah, yeah. I waited. I literally I went the weekend before the event, and all I ate was barbecue. I was feeling pretty dense.
All right. The next one is going to be swimming or running.
Running now.
Oh,
I
wow.
saw
Running
too,
is,
I saw too much of the black line. I swim maybe once a year now, like since I stopped swimming 8 years ago. So got my shoulders fixed. Tried to keep going and just thought, nah, none of this. And to be honest, Jeremy, I was a terrible runner. I'm still not a very good runner. I can run far,
yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah. That's
when I
me.
get in the water and swim, I can still swim pretty quick. And there's something about, the fact that, I'm never going to be as good a swimmer as I once was. But then also I'm a terrible runner and there's all this area to improve, right? So there's something about that in the running that I like. That there's a long way for me to go that I haven't been yet.
So what's the furthest distance you've gotten?
50 kilometers. So
Oh, so you're an ultra marathoner,
no, that was a once off that time. So I usually just run. So I do a few things. I gym. I do Krav Maga as well. So I'm training up for a Krav Maga instructor course later
Wow.
this year, and then kind of run. At the moment, I'm running about 40 kilometers a week. So whatever that is in miles, maybe 28, 30 miles a week. So I could be completely wrong on that mileage conversion. Yeah. So, but I just love the headspace that I get into, time by myself, then social runs, going and talking with people while you're jogging. You don't get that in swimming. I don't really get that in
Yeah.
gym either. But yeah, that's the main purpose of my running at the moment. But done a 50K, run a half marathon a lot of weekends. Yeah.
Nice. What the last one is gonna be marathon or half marathon?
Oh, marathon. If I'm
Yeah.
going to pick a challenge, yeah, I do half marathons a lot, just
Yeah.
for a slow plod,
Mhm.
around Sydney. So if I'm going to pick a challenge, it would definitely be a marathon.
All right. So where can people find you at, and do you have
Yep.
any last things to say to everybody on the podcast?
No, well, firstly, Jeremy, like really appreciate you reaching out, having me on. You know, after we connected at, the running event, I, got on your channel. I completely relate to what you're doing, right? Like bigger guys trying to jog and trying to run next to a lot smaller people,
Yeah.
love it. And then, to find us, you can go to solution.com. So that's SOLUSHIN.com. We're also at The Solution on Instagram. For those of you in the US, thesolution.com will redirect you to where you can buy it very quickly in the US, either through Amazon or directly through the online store over there. But what I'll also do, Jeremy, if you like, is I can set up Goku 15, which will take 15% 15% off the order for anyone who listens, and then
Okay.
I'll send you some materials if any of your listeners want to learn more about the injury. We've got this ultimate handbook on the injury that we can share with them. It includes things in there. If they think they've got the injury, they can try work it out themselves. They can go talk to their, treatment partner and help, navigate, what injury under shin splints they have. So I'll send you a bunch of resources as well. But for any of your listeners, they'll be able to get 15% off the order with Goku 15.
There you go. I appreciate that. I know a lot of people suffer from shin splints, and I get that question all the time, especially as a bigger runner too. I feel like
Yeah.
the more you weigh, the more prone you are to getting all these injuries, plantar fasciitis, shin
Yeah.
splints, all of that. So
Just moving more weight.
yeah,
There's more load. You gotta, I don't know, you just gotta show your body a little love.
yeah. That's what I always say. Like it's hard. Imagine you at 140 pounds doing a marathon. Now imagine putting 100 pounds on you and doing the same thing. It's a
It's
lot
like, yeah,
harder.
then run with a backpack, like a weight backpack, and then you'll feel the pain.
All right, Ben. I appreciate you on the podcast, and make sure everybody check out the solution. And yeah, have a great day, man. Have a great day.
Thanks, Jeremy. Take care.
So you guys heard that he is offering my subscribers Goku 15, which will give you 15% off of their products, the Solushin. This is something that I haven't used, but from what I heard today, it might just be the solution for you. So go check it out. This is not sponsored. And yeah, that's going to be it for this podcast. Thanks so much, Ben Lindsay, for being on the podcast. I appreciate you. And don't forget, every Monday we have a new episode of the Goku Running Talks podcast where I talk to people from the running industry. Could be someone like Ben, or it could be your normal everyday runner. So please do me a favor and like, subscribe, comment, do all those things so that my podcast can be seen by many more people. All right, guys. See you guys next Monday. Peace out.